Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Danville. And today our question comes to us from Tika Carr. And Tika has a question that came from a series of vlogs I did some time ago about the nature of deity. And Tika's question is this: is it ever truly possible to be separate from God at all in any sense? And if one looks upon God as being the consciousness of the universe, or the life force of the universe, how could you be separate from it? And my answer to Tika is that this is exactly the Correllian teaching. And this is one of the reasons why many pagans will say they do not believe in the Christian concept of sin, because the idea of sin is separation from God, and you cannot actually be separate from God in this all-inclusive, gender-neutral sense. And we would say that God is both what the universe is made of and what gives it life, and we distinguish between these two aspects as God and Goddess. But in the end, all is really one power with two very important aspects. And if you study, for example, Taoism, you'll find the same idea. If you study Platonic theory, you'll find the same idea. You'll find it runs through most of the world's major pagan religions. And it is certainly the underpinning of Correllian thought that in the end, spirit is what we're all made of, and it's what gives us all life. And it gives life in a sense to both what is animate and what is inanimate. It all is alive in one way or another because it's all spirit, or God if you would. And we tend to not be too worried about using the term God in the gender-neutral, all-inclusive sense, even though many pagans try not to do that because of their past in certain other religions, but we don't really feel that we have any kind of special relationship with other religions, and that how they use terms has nothing to do with how we do. And we find it a useful term, though more commonly you'll hear us use the term spirit. But it comes down to the same thing. It is the nature underlying the entire universe. It is the form from which the universe is made. It is the spirit that gives life to the universe. And how can you be separate from it? Well, you can't. You can think you're separate, and you can experience separation as an illusion. And a lot of what we do in spirituality is trying to work with and overcome that illusion. But it is only an illusion, because if you were separate from spirit, you would not exist. So, again, this is the primary reason that we do not have the concept of sin on the understanding that sin is separation from deity, because you cannot be separate from deity. It does not mean that there's nothing good or bad. That's a different concept. And if you look at Judeo-Christian ideas of sin, it includes things like eating shellfish, wearing clothing that's made of different kinds of fibers. It's obviously something a little different from just good and bad, and it's not a point of view that we subscribe to. So this is part of our moral underpinning, and because all things are made from and given life by spirit, all things are ultimately good and valuable. But that doesn't mean that there are not good and bad actions, good and bad circumstances. So those would be my thoughts on the subject. I hope you find them helpful. And once again, we've come to the end of our week. And this has been a short week for the vlog because I've been on the road. And for those who are not aware, yesterday was my birthday. So it's been a busy time for me. And I'm 1 year more decrepit today than I was before. But our three questions this week began with our question from Magenta about the color black and the stereotype of which is wearing all black, followed by our question from Draconum Blade about using magic to attract wealth, followed with today's question from Tika Carr about separation from God. And please tell me which one was your favorite, and feel free to vote here in the comments section at Magic TV, or on the Facebook pages where the vlog appears, or send it to me, Reverend Don Lewis at donlewishp@aol.com. And I hope you've enjoyed this week's vlogs, and we'll start again on Monday. And until next time, may you blessed be. Pray for peace. Pray for love. Pray for stability. Pray for the nation where you live. Pray for the world. Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you for Pagans Tonight Radio. Pagans Tonight Radio is an online radio network with different hosts and different shows 7 nights a week. There's something for every taste, including Spanish language programming on Saturday evening. Check out paganstonight.com today.